Sasaki and Peeps episode 3. And this episode was one of transition and also story building. Transition obviously because it is neither the start nor the end of the arc, so yeah, it is obviously. But it was also a story building episode because this episode what it sought out to do was build a story for the next episodes to come, even more than the first ones, because in this episode it was all about advancing the story, advancing the plotline, which I think it did perfectly well. It's a very chill episode, an episode where I guess you can say, appreciate what is happening, appreciate the interactions between the characters and things like that, because this episode was, again, very normal, chill, nothing extravagant happening. You had some shock factors here and there, but in general, a very good episode that did perfectly what it wanted to do. And one of those shock factors that I was talking about was the death of Viscount Muller. This death actually came out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting him to die in this episode, especially not the way he did. It was just mentioned in the middle of the episode that he died. So yeah, that was actually really shocking because he had a lot of airtime in this episode in the previous one. To see him go out this way is shocking, especially because you see Peeps' reaction to it. And Peeps is actually kind of sad to find out that he died. Peeps mentioned that he didn't knew him that well, but they had some talks here and there. And he genuinely was a nice guy, so yeah, I guess anyone can feel sad for a person like that dying. And Sasaki himself also felt sad. So yeah, it was pretty sad to see him go. You don't expect people like this to die, especially people this good, this nice. He was, so I guess you can say, a high status, but also very humble, very down to earth, very sympathetic. He was a very good person, and we still don't know the reason why he died. I would assume it's related to the war or something like that, because there is a war that is coming, but it is pretty weird because it still hasn't come yet, so I don't know exactly how he died. Maybe the war has started, but not in the in the vicinity of the city, of the empire, or whatever you want to call it. Maybe it's happening far away from the city, and maybe he died there. But I could also see it that he was betrayed or backstabbed by his butler, because at the end of the episode we see how his butler was acting very strange. Even Sasaki noticed that he was acting a little bit weird. He didn't trust him that much. He didn't have that much going for him, in order to not trust him. So at the end of the day, he did have to give him the item that he wanted, but he did have some reservations about him. So maybe that could indicate that we will see in the next episode something twisted or something bad that happened between them two, between the butler and Viscount Muller. I could see that happening. Maybe I'm overthinking it and he simply died in the battlefield. Maybe the butler was acting weird because he was supporting one of the brothers and he was not being impartial. That could be the case, of course. We see also how the daughter of Viscount Muller now has to basically be safeguarded, or basically have to be defended by the trading company that Sasaki works with. I think her name was Elsa, if I'm not remembering wrong. I don't know exactly she needs to be protected because yeah, there is a fight between the brothers, but they get to the point that they will start killing each other, or going wild, and things are going from bad to worse, all sort of things happening. Will it go that far that Elsa needs protection? I'm wondering if that will happen. We also saw how Sasaki got promoted to investigator or something like that, but yeah, he got promoted, and his new mission will now be to recruit new psychics with Hochisaki. So I bet that will be an interesting thing to see, because recruiting new psychics, that is bound to have some wild scenes, from wild psychics in the wild that are doing all sort of wild things. I know I just say wild like 4 times in a row, but yeah, that is actually going to happen, or at least I assume that is going to happen. That when Hochisaki and Sasaki go into recruiting new people, there's going to be probably some fights, some crazy characters, some dangerous scenes. So yeah, I think that will be pretty hyped to see in the future. We also saw that girl that is always standing beside Sasaki's apartment just being there again. I don't know what is going on with her. I don't know what exactly is her contribution to the plot. She is in the cover of the anime, so I would assume she's important, but it is surprising that until this point, episode 3 and episode 3 now ended, we still haven't seen her do basically anything. And for her to be important to the plot is pretty curious to say the least, because I would expect that at this point she would have done something, showed something, but that is actually not the case. So maybe in the next episode we'll finally see something from her. I would want to see her do something, because now that we have seen her again in this episode and how she interacted with Sasaki, I mean, something is going on there. I don't know what exactly is happening. I don't know what is her backstory or anything like that. I haven't read the source material, of course, but she's definitely interesting to say the least, because she's just there always outside Sasaki's apartment. What is going on with that? So yeah, multiple questions can arise, but I mean, if I were to speculate, I can come up with a lot of theories, but to be honest, I don't want to speculate because we have only seen her in a couple of minutes in every episode, so it will be pretty wild to make a guess or a theory just from a couple of minutes in 3 episodes. So yeah, I don't want to do that. And we also learned that, you know, this star sage that is Peeps was actually killed in the other world. I would assume that the star sage they were talking about was actually Peeps. Everything seems to indicate that. So yeah, that was pretty surprising to hear. Apparently the star sage, aka Peeps, knows a lot about spells. So yeah, that seems to be true, because Sasaki is learning also all kind of spells, and he will now learn how to use healing spells and all other spells that will be useful for the war, because if he doesn't do anything, then they will definitely lose the war. So yeah, he has to do something about it. But yeah, that was basically everything that happened in the episode, the most important things of the episode. A very chill but good episode. So if you don't want to miss any episode reviews of the anime, please subscribe, and also if you enjoy the episode review, please give me a thumbs up. And yeah, that will be everything by me, and I guess I'll see you all in the next episode review.